Hey everybody, I wanted to share a video about this discovery here. Now, this is not a new discovery, other people have found it before, but it did take me a little while to find it myself. And I had mentioned to a friend, or I mentioned in a couple of posts, personal posts, about how um, the Sinaitic Manuscript was found in a wastebasket, destined for the fire. And I understand how that can be seen as something that is challenging to believe. And so I did some research, and I had been searching for the actual writing from Constantine Tischendorf, where he actually says it, because I wanted to make sure that I was actually getting the words from the source rather than from secondhand. And sometimes secondhand information is not always the best. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. So, anyways, one of the things I've been wanting to do is been able to track those things down. So here is a the this is an argument by Constantine von Tischendorf with the narrative of the discovery of the Sinaitic Manuscript. And so I've got two links here. And so I've just got a note here. This was translated and published by the Religious Tract Society in London under an arrangement with the author. And here's published by the American Tract Society. And so this is actually this is the book here. This is by him, but it was translated. Here it is, page 28 of the book, where we can see this basket full of parchments. And so this. What's great about this is I actually found this using the Internet Archive. If you've never used it before, it's super cool because there's so many things that you can find. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to switch over to Internet Archive so you can see it directly from there. Okay, so here is the Internet Archive. This is the narrative of the discovery. This is page 28. And let's just start right here. It was at the foot of Mount Sinai in the Covent, I'm not sure if I said that right, of St. Catherine that I discovered the pearl of all my researches. In visiting the library of the monastery in the month of May 1844, I perceived in the middle of the great hall a large and wide basket full of parchments. And the librarian, who was a man of information, told me that two heaps of paper like this, mouldered by time, had already been committed to the flames. What was my surprise to find amid this heap of papers a considerable number of sheets of a copy of the Old Testament in Greek, which seemed to me to be one of the most ancient that I had ever seen. The authorities of the convent allowed me to possess myself of a third of these parchments, or about 45 sheets, all the more readily as they were destined for the fire. But I could not get them to yield up possession of the remainder. The too lively satisfaction which I had displayed had aroused their suspicions as to the value of this manuscript. I transcribed a page of the text of Isaiah and Jeremiah, and enjoined on the monks to take religious care of all such remains which might fall in their way. And so that is page 28, a little bit of 29 from the writing directly from Tischendorf. Now, you might go, well, that doesn't tell me that's the same documents, because some people will say, well, it's not really the documents that they were actually unrolled. Well, let's go over here to page 34. This is the same narrative of the discovery of the Sinaitic manuscript. And here we go. Let's just start up here at the top of page 34. On the afternoon of this day, I was taking a walk with the steward of the convent in the neighborhood, and as we returned towards sunset, he begged me to take some refreshment with him in his cell. Scarcely had he entered the room when, resuming our former subject of conversation, he said, "And I too have read a Septuagint, a copy of the Greek translation made by the 70." And so saying, he took down from the corner of the room a bulky kind of volume, wrapped up in a red cloth, and laid it before me. I unrolled the cover and discovered to my great surprise not only those fairy fragments which 15 years before I had taken out of the basket, but also other parts of the Old Testament, the New Testament complete, and in addition, the Epistle of Barnabas and a part of the pastor of Hermas. Full of joy, which this time I had the self command to conceal from the steward and the rest of the community, I asked, as if in a careless way, for permission to take the manuscript into my sleeping chamber to look over it more at leisure. There by myself, I could give way to the transport of joy which I felt. I knew that I held in my hand the most precious biblical treasure in existence, a document whose age and importance exceeded that of all the manuscripts which I had ever examined during 20 years' study of the subject. I cannot now recall all the emotions which I felt in that exciting moment, which with such a diamond in my possession. Though my lamp was dim and the night cold, I sat down at once to transcribe the Epistle of Barnabas. For 2 centuries search has been made in vain for the original Greek of the first part of this epistle, which has been only known through a very faulty Latin translation. And yet this letter, from the end of the second down to the beginning of the 4th century, had an extensive authority, since many Christians assigned to it and to the pastor of Hermas a place side by side with the inspired writings of the New Testament. This was the very reason why these two writings were both thus bound up with the Sinaitic Bible, the transcription of which is to be referred to the first half of the 4th century and about the time of the first Christian emperor. It's interesting that he took the Epistle of Barnabas and the pastor of Hermas and assigns them. I don't know if he's assigning them as being something that is to that same authority. I don't think so, but it is fascinating that that's the first thing that he wants to transcribe is the Epistle of Barnabas. But you can see here that he says, I had taken out of the basket 15 years before. And so it's not, I think these are connected. And so this is straight from the guy that found it in the monastery. And so take a look at it. This is at archive.org, the Internet Archive. You can look up when were our Gospels, Gospel 00TISC. It's on page 34. And you can, and 28, and let's see, yeah, page 28 and page 34. And you can read it for yourself. And just think that's interesting. So if you had not heard that it had been taken out of a wastebasket, destined for the fire, here's 2 references straight from the source. Now, I think you're going to get 2 different perspectives on this for people that are looking at the King James as something that is important to them. They would be saying that look at this manuscript. It has been destined for the fire, therefore it's not something to be trusted. The people at the monastery didn't even think that it was worthy to be saved and were throwing it away. Whereas people who are ascribed to the critical text theory are probably going to say that it was saved from the fire. It was, I believe I've read that from one of the scholars. It might have been Metzger, maybe Bart Ehrman. Ehrman, I think maybe it was him. You could probably look that up. But the general idea is that they would say it was saved from the fire, whereas the others would say it was destined for the fire. So 2 different perspectives and 2 different ways to look at it. But this is the actual straight from the source from Tischendorf. So thanks for coming by. Hope you have a great day. Take a look at some of the other videos if you would like to see a little bit more on King James Bible and modern Bibles and looking through the text themselves, and also the one of the things I'm attempting to do is this looking through the scriptures and seeing whether the claims from Brandon Peterson on the numbers are correct and the counts in the Bible for the King James, which is really fascinating. So I want to work on that next and hope to have one of those posted soon as well. So thanks again. Have a great day.